a maritime museum in here on the right. So you can go aboard all of these ships. There's a couple of old warships. This is a 1950s era destroyer. But first up, I want to show you. Can you sailboat? Looks a bit like a.
Yes.
Straight ahead of the boat.
I see it.
Looks a bit like a pirate ship.
Yes.
Can you see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's a full-scale replica of a Dutch boat called the Dijfken. And that boat landed in far north side. This one with the big red flag on the back. This is a replica of his ship. It was called the Endeavour. And he arrived in 1770 in that boat with 94 crew on board that tiny boat. Wow. Then we met up with the Americans and the Brits, and we suddenly decided we got back here all the way along this stretch up to the Green Point. So that operation, they moved down to Bondi Bay, down the coast, so that this could be redeveloped. So all of the buildings you see along here are relatively new.
That's amazing that didn't happen until the 80s. God, I would have thought 60s or 70s.
There's no original buildings left, but some of these old terrace homes are in the region of 150 years old. Spike on the top, that's the observatory. It's called Observatory Hill. The observatory was opened in 1859, and the spike on the tower, that yellow ball, they used to, it's a time ball, they used to drop the ball each day at 1 p.m. and they'd fire a little cannon, the astronomers, because they were the timekeepers. So anybody who had a clock, and some ship captains were getting clocks when they could compensate for the motion. So that was the only way they had to set their clock, because they couldn't set it against anyone else, because they might be wrong. Years ago, this used to be just flat concrete through here. It's part of the shipping container port. Put around the edge. They planted 70,000 native trees and shrubs. And this is a popular little park now. It's called Barangaroo. So the Opera House, that sits on Benelong Point. Benelong in most places. Queensland had a lot of rain in the last few months, so I think you're coming at a good time. There's the Harbour Bridge around the corner there, and if you look on the archway, you can see little groups of people doing the bridge climb. Can you see them on the right side of the arch?
Oh yeah.
They're on their way up.
That's people.
There's another little group here at the top. They're on their way down. 440 feet tall at the top, and it's about 150 feet clearance underneath. This was built in the 1920s, finished in 1932. It took about 8.5 years to build. And most of the steel in the bridge was shipped out from Scotland in those days, before the Australian steel industry really got going. Yeah, you can see a train coming from the right. So there's 2 rail lines on this edge of the bridge, and the rest of it is 8 lanes for car traffic. These days, there's 2 double-lane tunnels going across the harbour, roughly underneath the Opera House, into walls. And these have been converted about 25 years ago to various uses. That second one is luxury condos, and Nicole Kidman used to own the one right on the top, on this end on the left. That was opened in 1935, not long after the bridge. Coming up on the right, the Sydney Opera House, this opened in 1973. This was opened by Queen Elizabeth II. And this took quite a long time to build. 16 years, in fact. The designer of the Opera House was a Danish architect. His name was Jørgen Knudsen. And his design was one of about 220 architects all around the world. So when
Is that reclaimed land, or is that?
Well, yes and no. There's always been a little. So up on the ceiling of the opera, on the rooftop, you can see the individual tiles up there. There's more than 1 million things built just to be iconic. That was built in 1982. The governor, his name was General Lachlan Macquarie. He was the boss down here of the convict settlement for 11 years, starting in 1810. So the governor, her husband, he had some convicts carve their little fishing is that point over there.
Okay.
Kirribilli. Yeah, Woolloomooloo Bay behind the greenery. So we're looking right at the end of a long wharf. That's where all the wool used to. A US warship was moored just out here, and they actually hit it with a few shells when they were trying to sink a Japanese submarine that was in here.
Shit.
Didn't do any damage. And the workshops, and this long one back behind us, the Heritage Centre, that is accessible to the public. You can only access it from the ferry. The rest of it's off limits.
You know, China.
After his wife Elizabeth, and he named this after her and designated it for the use of Aboriginal tribes who were living here at the time. So they lived here unmolested while he was around. A subsequent governor named Ralph Darling, who we met earlier, he decided to grant this whole 54 acres of water frontage to one of the administrators in the colony, a man named Alexander Macleay. So just hanging around. So the Macleays moved down here and built a house that's still here, and it's one of the older substantial homes in Sydney. It's known as the finest home in the colony for generations. It was all lawns and hedges, beautiful. These days, this suburb's one of the more densely populated in the city. The suburb's called Potts Point. It's got some great restaurants and cafes and theatres and that sort of thing. Very densely populated too. Top, you'll see a church spire. That's St Mark's Anglican Church. That's where Elton John was married in 1984. He came down here to Australia to marry a German girl for a very short period of time. He realised it. Yeah, other people have said that. It looks like the side of a cruise line.
Whoops, like big.
This bay in front of us here, this is Double Bay. Double Bay. So you'll drive down through Double Bay on the way to Bondi Beach. Straight ahead down through there, you can see a big white building with cranes all around it. That used to be a Ritz-Carlton hotel. That's where the Princess Diana used to stay when she visited. Bill Clinton and others. Family. His name was Major Thomas Mitchell, and he was the head surveyor in the colony. So he led some inland exploration. He's going to come to a stop field. Yeah, he's going to bank left and land right in front of us. Just mind, there'll be a couple of waves coming off this boat too. Just hang on, there's a couple of waves coming. This is 40 feet long, yeah.
Cemetery up there?
Yes, it is. Obviously a historic one. Quite possibly. The previous cardinal, he died a couple of years ago. He was actually in charge of Catholic finances for the whole world. He was quite a divisive figure in Australia. So they found him guilty of doing it. On our right is our New South Wales art gallery.
Wow.
Which, if you're looking for something to do on your day off, art gallery is free to wander around. And the Botanic Gardens is just down here. Again, all free to enter. All free to enter, and you know, as I was saying, the Botanic Gardens on our left. So also free to wander through, kind of beautiful.
Would you be scared?